On May 15, 1982, it was announced that the Very Reverend Frank Bourbon, S.J., was to be the third pastor of St. Barnabas. On June 6th, he was installed by Bishop Begley as pastor, and stewardship of St. Barnabas passed from the Oblates of St. Francis de Sales to the Jesuits. Father Bourbon recognized immediately the need to move on quickly with the building program. Parish registrations had reached about 150 families. The church was literally bursting at the seams. The building committee got very busy and prepared a detailed building and financial plan. This plan was presented to Bishop Begley, and in October he granted permission to proceed with the program. Permission included conducting a $200,000 fund drive. After interviewing several architects and reviewing their proposals, one was selected who specialized in church designs. Following a presentation to the Diocesan Building Committee, approval was obtained to proceed with construction. Land clearing for the new facility commenced on March 9, 1983. A groundbreaking ceremony was held in September of 1983. Several local pastors, including one future pastor, were in attendance. Mass was celebrated under a tent with music provided by the minstrels. Following the ceremony, a buffet luncheon was hosted by the ladies of the parish on the grounds of the old church. As construction on the new church progressed, actions at the old church were a little hectic. The last wedding mass was celebrated on February 11, 1984. The groom was one of twin sons of a future deacon of the church, Reverend Mr. Art Kingsley. On April 2, 1984, the old church building was sold to Morris Funeral Home. After vacating the premises, religious education classes were conducted in parishioners' homes. Weekday masses were celebrated in the rectory. A single Sunday Mass was celebrated in a roller rink owned by parishioners. Music for this Mass was played from a tape on the rink's speaker system. The tape was recorded at home by the church organist on her small electric organ into a portable tape player. The Skyland Methodist Church, in a gesture of ecumenical outreach, opened their doors for us to conduct Lenten Triduum services. Social functions were celebrated at Calvary Episcopal Church in Fletcher. Finally, in June 1984, the new church building was available for use. It was not quite completed, but could be used. The pews had not been installed. They were piled up in the social hall. On June 6, 1984, the second twin son of Art Kingsley was married, the first wedding mass in the new church. The new church provided seating for 414 in the sanctuary, with additional space for 130 in the narthex. There was a chapel, a library, 9 classrooms, administrative space, pastor's office, confessional, several lavatories, a nursery, a social hall to seat 192, a large-sized kitchen, dependable heating, and air conditioning system. Outside, there was a paved parking lot with room for 174 cars. One aspect of the building, when completed, that raised many questions was why was there only a tabernacle in the chapel and none in the sanctuary of the main church? The answer is that Bishop Begley stated that there could only be one tabernacle in the building, and after considering several options, he directed that it be in the chapel. The construction cost, $615,000. This did not include about $40,000 which had been raised by the ladies of the parish through weekly bingo to pay for the commercial-grade kitchen furnishings. The church was dedicated July 22, 1984 by Bishop Begley. It was a bittersweet celebration because it was announced that for health reasons, Father Bourbon would be leaving. In October of 1984, Reverend Joseph Newell, S.J., became our fourth pastor. At that time, it is estimated that the parish included 300 families. During the 6 years of his pastorship, several significant events occurred. On July 3, 1988, Reverend Mr. Arthur Kingsley, a parishioner, was ordained a permanent deacon. Art was assigned to this parish for his diaconate duties. Just under a year later, on May 20th, 1989, the Reverend Joseph Mack was ordained a priest for the Diocese of Charlotte. Father Mack said his first Mass the following day at St. Barnabas. Father Mack's parents were part of the original members of the parish. To meet the growing administrative requirements of the parish, 2 part-time secretaries and a business manager were hired. During this period, several organists and the minstrels provided liturgical music. The parish began to move from basically an all-volunteer staff to a paid staff assisted by many volunteers. On June of 1987, Miss Cheryl Payton was hired as the Director of Religious Education. The religious education program at that time had about 180 students. The youth program, about 30 teenagers. The youth program continued to be led by volunteers. The youth participated in dances, trips, retreats, and fundraisers. Under the guidance of the pastor and religious education director and new youth minister, the spiritual education programs grew rapidly. Vacation Bible School was conducted during the summer. The program was led by Father Newell's sister, a nun from the Philadelphia area. The RCIA program and Bible study classes were started. On May 5, 1985, Bishop Donahue, second bishop of the Charlotte Diocese, confirmed 18 youths, the first confirmation class in the new facility. A music director and organist was hired, and a youth choir was formed. In 1988, for the first time, female ministers of hospitality, or ushers, served the congregation. Social outreach programs prospered. The Knights of Columbus, Father Joseph Mall Council, became affiliated with St. Barnabas. They began a tradition of a yearly party, a 50s-60s dance. The Knights periodically hosted Sunday morning pancake breakfasts in the social hall. Swimming parties were in vogue. Father Newell loved to swim. A group of people with Italian heritage met regularly under the title Marconi Lodge. Several groups of AA met weekly at the church, and 2 Girl Scout troops also met here. The shelter in the wooded area adjacent to the parking lot and a children's playground were constructed. For several reasons, weekly bingo was terminated. In March 1990, Father Newell formed a steering committee to look into the impact that the continuing growth of the local community might have on the future needs of the parish.